This video is sponsored by The Ridge. Get 10% off your order and free worldwide shipping by going to ridge.com/nameexplain and by using the code NAMEXPLAIN. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Patrick, haven't you already made this video? And the short answer is no. New York City, however, is a city we're very familiar with here on Name Explain. So far, we've looked into where the name New York itself comes from and its previous name New Amsterdam, as well as the most popular nickname of the Big Apple, and how its 5 boroughs got their names, all in one video. However, since that video, we went on to look into how the city's most iconic landmark got her name, as well as a separate video looking into how some of the neighbourhoods of New York got their names too. You'd think by now we'll be done with the city that never sleeps, right? Well, it's time to take a bite out of that Big Apple once again, and it's easy to understand as to why there are so many famous names from this city. It's simply because of how famous New York City has become. In fact, I believe it's the single most iconic city on earth. If you ask someone to name a city, there's a high chance NYC is what they would say, and due to this popularity, it means that anything from the city is instantly iconic. I mean, their bloody fire department has merchandise. I don't think this is a worldwide phenomenon. I've never seen anyone wearing a t-shirt for the Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service. And no offense to any firefighters from Staffordshire watching, I'm sure you're doing a great job and that merch deal will come soon enough. So what part of NYC shall we be looking into today? Well, I'm sure you already know from the title of this video, but of course the streets. New York City unsurprisingly has hundreds of streets within its 5 boroughs, so of course we won't be looking to all of these. But yes, thanks to New York City's iconicness, even its streets have become known throughout the world, thanks to the history and the popular culture that have taken place there. So today, let's look into how some of New York's most iconic and interestingly titled streets got their names. Though again, I can imagine you are thinking to yourself, but Patrick, don't a lot of the streets in New York have really boring names? And the short answer is yes. Yes indeed. Lots of these streets in New York are simply named after numbers, which in all honesty isn't the most exciting of ways to name things, with a lot of these numbered streets coming from the Commissioner's Plan of 1811. Though it does serve some purpose, it could really help with navigating this concrete jungle, especially in a time before smartphones. When I was in the city, I didn't get to see any of the sights. I was too busy looking at Google Maps and hoping I wouldn't get lost. In example, if you knew you were on 19th Street and were meeting your friend on 21st Street, you know you'll need to go 2 streets across to reach your destination. However, not all these numbered streets are actually called streets. Instead of being a number followed by the word street, they are often a number followed by the word avenue, e.g. 1st Avenue, 6th Avenue, 10th Avenue, stuff like that. In fact, there is logic behind this. It's not just that some are called avenues and some are called streets. So how do you know when to call a road a street or an avenue? It's simple really. Avenues are the roads that go from south to north, and streets are the roads that go from east to west. Well, in all honesty, they don't exactly go north to south and east to west due to the angle that Manhattan Island is at, but nevertheless, this is how it is seen. A lot of tourist maps of Manhattan even have it straightened up so it makes it seem more northern, and the numbers of the avenues ascend from east to west, so you'll find 1st Avenue on the east of Manhattan Island and 12th Avenue on the west, while the street numbers ascend from south to north, with 1st Street being in the south and 228th Street being in the north in the Bronx. Once you understand this system of road naming, it can really help with navigating the city. With simply knowing what street/avenue you are on and what street/avenue you need to get to, you can figure out how many streets you need to go across and how many avenues you need to go up or down, making this metropolis a cakewalk to navigate. They may not be the most fun names, but they are helpful, which reminds me of a certain other country and its nomenclature. And these names and the layout of NYC seem especially organised to myself when I compare it to the mess that is the capital city of my nation. Though despite how neat and organised all these streets and avenues may seem, this isn't always the case. If you were asked what avenue lays between 3rd and 5th Avenue, I'm sure a lot of us will come to the same conclusion, 4th Avenue. However, there is no 4th Avenue in New York City. Between 3rd and 5th Avenue, we actually have 3 avenues which don't go by numbered names, but rather go by Lexington Avenue, Park Avenue, and Madison Avenue. Park Avenue was initially called 4th Avenue, however. In the 1830s, the New York Central and Harlem Railroad was built, running down 4th Avenue. The trains that ran on this railway were initially pulled by horses, but soon enough steam locomotives took their place. Though the residents of the city were not happy with this, and soon enough complaints about the steam and the danger it could bring came rolling in. Eventually, part of the rail line was closed and moved underground. Where the train line had once been above ground, however, was covered with a park, leading to the section of 4th Avenue by the park to be dubbed Park Avenue, and then the entirety of 4th Avenue was also dubbed Park Avenue. Madison Avenue is named after Madison Square, which in turn is named after James Madison, the 4th President of the United States. I really like the fact it's named after Madison. While he isn't one of the more well-known presidents, it's cool to see he has left his name in the most popular city on earth, and in turn the most famous arena on earth, Madison Square Garden. Lexington. Lexington Avenue, however, is named after the Battle of Lexington. The town of Lexington in Massachusetts is known as the site of the first shots of the American Revolutionary War, so I can understand why the most renowned city in the USA would like an avenue named after it. It seems that these two avenues were constructed after the others, so initially it would have been just 3rd, then 4th, then 5th Avenue like the rest of them, but over time 4th was changed to Park and Lexington and Madison were added, leading to the odd situation we have today. Also, just to add a little bit more confusion to the east side of Manhattan, 6th Avenue is technically not actually called that, but is really called the Avenue of the Americas, but it seems no one actually calls it that. One of the most famous streets in the entirety of New York City, and quite possibly the world, is Wall Street. Wall Street is the financial hub of the city. I would show a clip from The Wolf of Wall Street here, but due to the nature of that film, I'm pretty sure any clip from it would demonetize this entire video. As well as the actual street called Wall Street, the entire area is somewhat known as Wall Street, and the term Wall Street unto itself has become synonymous with money and trading. Wall Street is towards the south of Manhattan, and the name is believed to refer to an actual wall that was constructed in the area by the Dutch while the city was still New Amsterdam, with the purpose of this wall supposedly being to keep the rival British settlers out the city. While the wall may be gone, it is lived on in the name of this street. Another street named after something that is no longer there anymore is Canal Street, two located in Manhattan. In fact, a lot of these are going to be Manhattan based, but I'll make sure to show some love for the other boroughs too. In the early 1800s, a canal was dug up here to help move water into the Hudson. While it helped the growing city where it was no longer needed, the canal was filled in, and Canal Street was built in its place. A street without street or avenue in its name is simply the Bowery. I read, however, that once upon a time this was called Barreley Lane, but the lane part of this name is no longer present. Dutch speakers may realise that this name sounds similar to the Dutch word for farm, Bolledolay, and that's exactly where this name comes from, as this road was used by the Dutch during New Amsterdam days to go from the city to the farmland on the outskirts of the city. Undoubtedly, the most positive sounding name of any NYC street has to go to Utopia Parkway. Seriously, it sounds like the kind of name you'd see at a section of Disneyland or something. Though the street wasn't named due to how idealistic and perfect it is. This Queen Street is named after the Utopia Land Company, who in 1905 bought the land this street is on. The hope was to build this land into a new community for the Jewish residents of Manhattan's Lower East Side who wanted to leave there. While this never actually happened, the Utopia name was kept, and I can't blame them, it's a great word. Another part of NYC that sounds like a Disney ride is Brooklyn's Love Lane. This is in the affluent Brooklyn's Heights parts of the borough. This is a simple one-block street and seems to have built a reputation around this name. An article from an 1894 edition of the New York Times talks about how the oldest residents can remember a time when there was a cool shady path leading down Lover's Lane where plump rosy-cheeked Dutch maidens with their sweethearts meandered on summer evenings out through the turnstile and down the grassy banks onto the water's edge. So it seems this memory created the name, and from the name more memories like this have been created. Why lovers chose this lane to saunter down, however, I don't know. I'm name explain, not lane explain. Also in Brooklyn Heights we have 3 streets that have common grounds within their names. They are all named after fruits. These are Pineapple Street, Cranberry Street and Orange Street. These 3 silly names are in a rather posh area of Brooklyn, and it's thought that they once had posher names. But the story goes that one resident named Lady Midgar, who was also quite posh herself, grew sick of these pompous names, so in the depths of night she changed the signs of these streets to have fruit names instead, and those names have stuck around. Up in the Bronx we have a street name that reflects the Native Americans who too shaped New York City, this street being Mosholu Parkway. This is an Algonquin word which means smooth/small stones and relates to the nearby brook, now called Tibbetts Brook. And down in Staten Island we have Victory Boulevard, a name given to this street in celebration of the victory of the First World War. Though perhaps the most famous street in the entirety of NYC, perhaps more so than Wall Street even, is of course Broadway, the home of theatre in the city that never sleeps. To be on Broadway as a performer means you have made it. This is one of the main roads in Manhattan and it's oldest, so it has a lot of importance. In the past this would have been the main road in and out of the city. In fact, it still does go beyond NYC and upstate New York itself. So this is why it comes from the Dutch term Bledenven, which means broad road, as broad means covers a wide area, as this road does. However, a fun naming fact I enjoy about Broadway is that in 2019, the intersection between Broadway and West 63rd Street received a new name, with that new name being Sesame Street, in honor of the 50th anniversary of the television show which is based in New York. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Yes, it's between 63rd and Broadway. Finally, I want to end with this street. Now, from looking at this, I'm sure you can see that it has an identical name to a city in Texas, and while they are spelled the same, they aren't pronounced the same, which, believe me, I found out about in my Neighborhoods of NYC video. In Texas, we have the city of Houston, while in NYC we have Houston Street. Though I must wonder, is there any connection between the two? Well, yes and no. Yes, in the fact they are both named after important people, but no in regards to literally everything else. Houston, Texas is named after Sam Houston, 3rd President of the Republic of Texas and military leader during the Texas Revolution of 1836, and Houston Street, NYC is named after William Houston, a congressman whose family had an estate in the city that never sleeps, where this road now lays. Houston/Houston was suggested by Alexander Schechtman, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explain's patron saint of Houston/Houston. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explain video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explain Patreon saint. And of course, a huge thank you to The Ridge who sponsored today's video. The Ridge create cool everyday products at a quality you definitely don't see every day, with their most popular product being the Ridge wallet. A wallet made of metal might sound crazy, but with its sleek, untraditional design, the Ridge really pulled off something special with this. The Ridge were kind enough to send me one of their wallets, and it allows me to have all my important cards on me, some cash, and most importantly, none of the other junk I used to lug around in my wallets. It's not only wallets the Ridge make, however, they have a great selection of products including a variety of bags from backpacks to duffel bags, phone cases, and even their own line of charging cables and portable chargers, all built the same quality and minimalistic style choice as their signature wallet. Everything the Ridge has been kind enough to send me I've enjoyed a great deal and would recommend to anyone. If you want one of the Ridge's awesome wallets, backpacks, phone cases, or one of the many other things they make, then visit ridge.com/nameexplain and use the promo code NAMEEXPLAIN, which will all be linked down below, for 10% off your order. So why don't you find your next favorite wallet right now by visiting ridge.com/nameexplain and by using the promo code NAMEEXPLAIN. Thank you once again to the Ridge for sponsoring this video. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Name Explain depends on small monthly donations from fans like you to help keep the channel running. Just a small amount of $2 a month helps in a huge way, grants you patron exclusive Name Explain extras, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you. Hello all, and thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. Please consider subscribing to stay up to date on all things Name Explain. You can follow myself on Twitter at NameExplainYT. Follow me there and tweet the name of a famous New Yorker at me so I know you came from this message. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again thank you all so much.